A man from Waldo is accused of impersonating police.
53-year-old Joseph Bala is facing charges of impersonating a public servant, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, and having improper emergency lights.
A joint investigation by state police and the Belfast Police Department determined Bala was stopping vehicles with his truck that was equipped with emergency lights and an air horn similar to those used by police. Bala is free on bail and due in court in October. Anyone who believes they were stopped by him is asked to call Belfast Police at 338-2420 and ask for Detective Leffert.